underground magazine.
Editor of Agora. What is daily life in Romania like right now?
Jim, I would say that my countrymen, Romanians, do have to face very, very hard times. I mean, after the very first stages of a spontaneous revolution, as usual, we are witnessing a lot of confusion, a lot of hate, a lot of distress, a lot of joy. So we are witnessing a mixture of feelings, of attitudes. Everybody is talking about freedom, about democratic values, but I'd say very few really know what is democracy about and what they have to do with their freedom. The situation is quite fragile. It's very everything could change any minute. So I would not say that there are too many reasons just for joy. I would say it was a very sad Christmas for the Romanians, and in the same time a very important one. So having Ceausescu and his wife gone from the political scene in Romania, probably Romanians got some hopes to have in their country a real democratic political framework.
Was that the best thing, do you think, for your country to have such a quick trial and execution?
No, the moral question must be asked whether it was right to execute Ceausescu and his wife. So it is hard to find a political answer to that question, other than to say that the execution was based on military strategy. But from a moral point of view, I would say wasn't a real trial. But all in all, I would say that Ceausescu and his wife got not a very fair trial, but after all they got the fairest verdict in the world. As a democratic human being, I would say that I would have been much more happier to see a real trial, a public trial. On the other hand, it seems to me that there were too many interests involved in not giving to Ceausescu and his wife the chance of an open public trial, because Ceausescu could say a lot of things who could embarrass a lot of the people who are right now leading the country. Also from outside, from abroad, probably there were a lot of pressures, underground pressures, to not give to Ceausescu an open public trial, because he was cooperating during these latest 15 years with so many people in Western democracies that any kind of disclosure of details could have been embarrassed a lot of political figures in the world.
As we speak right now, the Army has given the secret police members an ultimatum, either to turn themselves in and face trial or be executed as of tomorrow. Will that work?
That's correct. It didn't work, and I'm not surprised at all, because what these members of the Romanian secret police were doing in the latest days wasn't at all to defend Ceausescu, but to defend themselves. They were really scared. They were stunned about what's happened in Romania, and they knew from the very beginning that given the fact that they were so cruel, so brutal toward the Romanian nation, they will have to pay for. So it was a kind of irrational response. They didn't think about what they have to do. They just wanted to save their skins, which proved unworkable in this manner.
When or how bad do you think the death toll was from the last few weeks? We're getting conflicting reports.
Yes.
The numbers seem to be mounting.
Jimmy, it's very hard to answer the question. I was talking with a lot of my countrymen through phone in the latest days and nights. And when I asked them, listen, what about the number, the figures of casualty? Everybody was laughing and telling me, listen, Darin, you are crazy. Do you think that we do have time to take account or to count how many deaths people are here? So I would say that the numbers who fluctuated dramatically in the latest days were a little bit exaggerated, but it's for sure that between 5 and 15 or 20,000 people died in Romania. There's no question about it.
Our topic is the changing face of Romania. Our guest is Doran Tuturan. He is the chief editor of Agora, an alternative journal of culture. If you could explain, first of all, what the journal is.
We brought out this magazine, this cultural and political magazine, with the idea to bridge the huge gap between the Romanian cultural and political exile and our fellow colleagues in Romania. Because we thought it's not a good idea to accept forever that we are divided, that we are, let's say, two nations. No, we belong to only one culture, which is the Romanian culture. So Agora tried to pick up, first of all, stuff written in Romania and bound in Romania, and we published everything here and sent back everything, introducing and circulated in Romania thousands of issues of Agora. Secondly, we published a lot of stuff written here by most prominent cultural Romanian figures, characters in exile. So, basically speaking, we tried to give a chance to the Romanian culture to be one and only one.
I'd like to add that you also grew up in Romania. You were educated in Romania and spent 2 years under house arrest for being a dissident, and finally expelled, I believe, in 1985?
That's correct, you're right. I was born in Timișoara in 1945. I was growing up in Bucharest, and till I was expelled from Romania, I used to be a writer and a journalist.
What did you do, or what is it alleged that you did, to become a dissident and to suffer house arrest?
Jim, to summarize up everything, I tried to be a normal human being, which proved to be not the easiest position to take in a country like Romania. So I tried to express myself openly. I tried to put on the paper what I was believing in. I was trying to respect my profession as a writer, as a journalist. I was trying to be fair but sharp toward the leadership. So finally, step by step, I got more and more troubles, and in the early 80s, I was declared, together with some other peoples, some kind of enemies of the people. So I was put under house arrest for 2 years. My work, my literary work, I mean, my books were banned in Romania. Nobody was allowed to mention my name in the press, despite the fact that I was the winner 3 times of the biggest Romanian literary prize, the prize of the Writers' Union. And I was disappearing from the public scene, but in the same time I tried to be involved more and more in a very underground fight toward the dictatorship.
How did you earn your living? How did you earn your living during that period of time?
It was very tough. As a matter of fact, I couldn't get any money, any work. I wasn't allowed to get any work. So it was just my wife who was to support the whole family. And I would say that she proved to be one of the nicest person in the world, because, Jim, you have to understand that there is no toughest profession in a country like Romania that Ceausescu went to be a wife of a dissident.
We'll be taking your calls in just a few moments. The numbers will be listed throughout the show at the bottom of the screen. And remember the 30-day policy. If you've called in within the last month, wait and give some other folks a chance to get through. Now, there was a Associated Press wire story out of Romania where the new government said this is no longer a communist country. We are going to set up a democracy. Free trade unions would be established. Now, in your opening answer, you seem to give the impression you don't quite believe that. Is that a fair assessment?
Jim, the point is that too many peoples belonging to this new leadership are not without reproach. I would say there are people who belonged to the Ceausescu dictatorship. As a matter of fact, Mr. Ion Iliescu, who I know very well, used to be, once upon a time, the secretary of the Central Committee of the Romanian Communist Party for the ideology. As a matter of fact, he was the person in shaping the Romanian ideology. Finally, he got in some trouble with Ceausescu's family, but he was all the time a very important figure, political figure in Romania. Finally, he was punished. He was put on the shelves, if we can say it, and he ended up by being a director of a Romanian publishing house. Secondly, Mr. Dumitru Maziliu, who is the vice president of this new republic, if we can call it so, was really involved in the latest months in some kind of decent activity. I mean, he was writing a very tough report for United Nations about the real situation in Romania. But before Jim, Mr. Dumitru Maziliu was the director of the school who prepared the forces of the Romanian secret police. He was one of the people who wrote Ceausescu's speeches. He was involved in many, many things. He was sent as a diplomat in the West, and you know what a Romanian diplomat means. Thirdly, the gentleman who is right now a kind of Secretary of State, a kind of Romanian James Baker, Mr. Corneliu Bogdan, is a survivor by profession. I mean, he survived Anna Pauker's age, which was a very terrible one in Romania. He survived also Gheorghe Gheorghiu Deș period. He survived again Ceausescu age. He was Ceausescu's ambassador in Washington for a couple of years. He was smart enough to send abroad his two daughters. They get married in the United States. And when Mr. Corneliu Bogdan got retired, he was allowed every time to travel abroad. He was spending a lot of time here in Washington. He got back a couple of weeks ago. While he was in States, he published some articles. He never ever mentioned the name of Ceausescu or talking about the Ceausescu's atrocity. So he is a kind of professional survivor. I was talking with a lot of younger people in Romania. They don't trust this kind of people. The new prime minister is the son of one of the most powerful and influential Romanian communists, Walter Roman, who used to be the head of the military division who invaded Romania. I mean, Divizia Tudor Vladimirescu, formed by KGB in Moscow and sent into Romania after the Second World War as liberators. So there are people with not a very clean past, most of them. The younger people in Romania didn't fight just to have these people as new rulers.
Okay. Let's go to the phones. Rome, Georgia, you're on the air.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Well, my question for Mr. Tudor, and if I may, let me see if I may make a very quick analogy. In my state, there was a very bad town down here, and it was full of crooks and bandits until finally all the good people got together and decided they would murder all the bad people, and it was no longer a bad town. How can we in the United States, in your opinion, support a government that from all appearances, may have murdered its president.
Sir, from a moral point of view, it's very difficult to say how the American political establishment could support the new government. But anyway, these people in Romania who tried very fast and sentenced and executed Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu did also a big revolution in Romania. I would say that they should be supported, but not unconditionally. The Western democracies has to ask to put condition these times, telling them, listen, you guys, we will help you, but not for nothing. Because it was the same story at the very beginning of Nicolae Ceausescu's dictatorship. Everybody in the West was taking Ceausescu as a kind of maverick, a golden boy of the European communists. And many American political figures shaped here a very wrong portrait of Nicolae Ceausescu. It was very difficult for us, people in Romania, to explain to Western diplomats, to Western journalists, that Ceausescu wasn't at all the kind of guy they were thinking about. So I would say that the United States could put some more decency between their words and their actions towards a new regime in Romania.
Let's go up to New England. Providence, Rhode Island, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to make a comment and then a couple of short questions. First of all, I can't imagine, it's mind-boggling to try to imagine how a country such as Romania or any other communist country actually could be kept so much in the dark as far as democratic values and just the basic values of democracy. Second of all, I'm not so sure the Romanian people are any better off with the new government that they have now as opposed to the one that was just taken over. My question is, how tough will it be for the young people of Romania, the ones who actually started this revolution, to infiltrate the political system? And will they have any support from the media?
I'd say that the talks I had in the last days and nights with people in Romania, especially with very young people, let me get the feeling that they are not ready to give up what they already started. I mean, as I said before, the younger person in Romania, the people who did the revolution on the street spontaneously, will not give up their hope for a real democracy in Romania. We are not talking about infiltrating the political leadership. I am talking about the right of these people to get involved in the real political decision. I would say, without allowing these young heroes to have their representatives in a new leadership, the new Romanian leadership in Bucharest will be no longer in power. I would say without changing a lot of things in the composition of this new leadership and putting in place some very important leaders of the opposition to represent the younger people, the cleanest one, Mr. Ion Iliescu and his friends will have no chance to remain in power, it's for sure.
Let's go out to California for our next call, and I'll let you pronounce it. Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from Cucamonga,
Okay, go right ahead.
California. And I'd like to ask Mr. Dorin if he's saying about the new communist, new government, in fact, pro-communist, I believe, allow the people to come back from all the country they defect or whatever run out because the all the trouble was over there.
My friend, I would say that the new leadership has to do it. As a matter of fact, yesterday morning, one of the new leaders of Romania asked a very well-known soccer player who defected in Yugoslavia to come back and be a part of the national team of Romania, who will be a part of the final championship in Italy. But as you know, usually the new leadership in a new communist country, if we can consider Romania a new communist country right now, are much more interested in having back very prominent figures just to make them a kind of tool for their propaganda. But after all, finally, they will have to allow to all the people who defected or who get exiled in a form or another one to get back and to live their natural life in their native country. I think is no question about that any kind of new leadership in Romania will have to do it sooner or later. I hope very soon.
You want Ilie Năstase back?
I think the best person to answer the question is Ilie. I'll be very pleased to see Ilie Năstase back in Romania, but he did a lot for this country, I mean Romania. He was at his best time one of the most important Romanians, and as a Romanian I have to say thank you Ilie Năstase, but it's up to Ilie Năstase to get back or not.
He was there apparently within the last couple of weeks and did some reports that he was in a hotel room watching some of the shooting going on. Did you hear about any of those reports?
Yes, my wife told me that she saw Ilie Năstase on TV this morning and he was quite impressed. Ilie Năstase is a genuine storyteller. He's a very nice guy, a very intelligent one, and I'm very pleased that he proved again very close from his native country. He proved to be still being a real Romanian.
Let's go to Columbus, Ohio. You're next. Columbus, are you there? I guess not. What was your reaction? Because you were expelled in 1985. Did you come to the United States right away?
Yes, we passed through Italy for, we have to stay in Italy 14 days and then we were accepted in the United States.
So you've basically been here for about 4 years.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you were, considering you were expelled and now you see the thousands of people in the streets and the execution and the cries of freedom?
Jim, frankly speaking, I was very upset that I wasn't there in Romania. I thought that my real place was among the people I used to be their friends and in a way, in a moral meaning, a kind of leader at the time in 80s. But it wasn't up to me. I had to be here just to survive, and probably I hope what I did in the latest years here in the United States was of some help for my countrymen. I mean, I was very happy when these latest days we got a lot of calls from Romanians who said, thank you very much for what you did for us.
Let's go to Haines, Kansas. You're next.
Yes, my question is this, a comment and then a question.
Okay.
I have visited with Americans who have been to Romania, and the people have to know, many people in the United States, that the oppression of the people over there was in many cases unbearable. My question is this, under Ceausescu, he had a policy of destroying many villages, and I think was going to try to carry through with that, having ancestral immigrants from Romania at the turn of the century. I assume this policy will not be carried out, and how many of the actual original villages did Ceausescu destroy?
I would say that one of the reasons that we had a so violent, spontaneous revolution in Romania was this crazy project to destroy the peasant tradition in Romania. Fortunately, upon the pressure of international community, Ceausescu had to give up mostly everything of this project. I'd say that based upon the information we got, just a couple of villages were totally destroyed around Bucharest. Some villages were destroyed in Transylvania, but finally we were lucky enough to see this project abandoned under the pressure of the international community. And it's for sure that the new leadership trying to make to distance itself from Ceausescu's age will give up all the project. I'd say that it's no question about it.
Let's go down to Gainesville, Florida. You're next.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
I have a comment first. I'm really impressed with what happened over there in Romania. It's, to me, it boggles the mind how the people in a close society like that could have just rose up and just overthrew this monster, as far as I'm concerned. And my question is your opinions of future relations with Russia or the Soviet Union concerning Moldavia, since the Soviets now are having all kinds of problems with their ethnic minorities, and being that Moldavia used to be part of Romania, what do you think will happen there? I'll take your comment on the air. Thanks.
I would not like to be in Gorbachev's shoes right now, because having Ceausescu on the Romanian political scene was a guarantee for Gorbachev and for everybody in Moscow that no Moldavians living right now in Soviet Union will be so crazy, so unwise to ask for reunification with Romania. But you are correct in your prediction that right now, having Ceausescu gone from the political Romanian scene, probably very soon we will see the Moldavians, the Romanian living in Soviet Union, asking for reunification. So I would predict that with some kind of arrogance, political arrogance, that the next year it will be a very tough one from this point of view for Mr. Gorbachev.
Go to Reno, Nevada. You're next.
I can hardly hear you.
Okay, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you that this gentleman seemed to think that the United States intervention in Romania during Mr. Ceausescu's reign, we have no choice. We try to be diplomatically equal to all the countries, so that's the reason we treat people. But when we treated Mr. Ceausescu, one thing we did know for sure is that Mr. Ceausescu would never have gone to war for Mr. Gorbachev. Now, Mr. Gorbachev has been able to install his own friend. According to CNN, Mr. Gorbachev's friend has been made the leader of Romania. And if this continues in the Eastern Bloc, any of those people would be willing to do whatever Mr. Gorbachev says when he says, let's go to war against the United States.
I'm not quite sure that the influence of Mikhail Gorbachev was so high these days in Romania. As a matter of fact, Ion Iliescu was considered as a possible alternative to the Ceausescu post-era since, let's say, early 80s. I'm not quite sure that Gorbachev helped in any way this spontaneous revolution in Romania, but it's quite correct that Iliescu is the person who got the blessing from Gorbachev. On the other hand, we in Romania used to say that what the United States granted to Romania, the most favored nation status, was in fact the most favored dictatorship in Eastern Europe. Now, it's not correct. Many of the members of the American political establishment knew at the time, they were informed about how kind of guy this crazy man was, but it appeared at the time, and it proved unfortunately true, that not so many paid attention to these details. I would say that we had to deal with this endless kind of political cynicism which is with us from the beginning of the world.
Let's go down to Houston, Texas. You're on C-SPAN.
Yes, I wanted to call and make a couple of comments and then ask a couple of questions regarding the Romanian situation. My comments, first of all, are I, as an American, my wife is Romanian, I have many relatives who are Romanian. I, as an American, have never seen such bravery, and I am so proud of what those people have done, and I urge them on and upward to a democracy that is going to be really great for themselves, but there will be some sacrifices that have to be made. And my comments are that the gentleman that you have there is the editor of a magazine called Agora, and I've never heard of Agora magazine, nor have my Romanian relatives. They have heard of a magazine called Micro Magazine, which is highly respected in the Romanian community. I was wondering, does he write for that magazine? Has he written for them? Or could he give some comments on that magazine? And also, regarding the way they are setting up the government there, my understanding is there's around 37 or 39 people who are going to be overlooking the government until the elections come out. And I'm wondering, are there some young people in there to help supervise this upper-level management of government until they have these elections?
Thank you, Kristen.
First of all, I know very well the publication you mentioned, Micro Magazine, who was created about 13 years ago. I used to write for Micro Magazine, and I was very pleased to be among them. The fact that you and your relatives in Romania didn't heard about Agora, which is the most circulated, if not the only one, Romanian magazine in Romania, it's another matter. It's your business, I would say. Secondly,
about the young people being involved in the government.
The young people involved in the government. There are not so many young people, unfortunately, involved in this number of 39 members of the new government. There are not so many. But anyway, the point is, everybody is talking about free elections. The big question is the Romanian opposition ready to face it? I mean, till now, the Romanian opposition didn't get to have any kind of very well-organized political formations, political parties. Everything is building up right now under the pressure. My feeling is that could be a big danger to go into elections, free elections, without being well enough prepared. But anyway, they have to, because letting this new government to be in power more and more without any kind of real political spectrum, political life, could enable them to pick up too much power and to start to behave in a not so democratic way. I would say that we already have some signs they are acting sometimes not so democratically.
Up to Roseville, Minnesota. You're next.
Yes, I wondered that your ex-president had a very powerful extended family, and I was curious as what has happened to the family members of what has happened to them.
My family is
Ceausescu.
Based upon the latest recent information we got, many or several members of Ceausescu's family were captured. Today, one of his sisters and a nephew of Ceausescu were captured in Scorni Cești, the native village of Nicolae Ceausescu. Also, two children of Ceausescu were captured, Zoya, the daughter, and Nicu. But I would like to say that I would not like to see these people put in this kind of very secret and fast trial and sentenced or executed very undemocratically. I would say that everybody has to pay for what he really did, not just because they were the relatives of Nicolae Ceausescu. And we have among the Ceausescu's relatives a lot of them who committed a lot of bad things. And I hope a new democratic Romanian life will punish them based upon what they really did.
Go to San Jose, California. You're next.
Yes, Doreen. I have a question for you. We share a little bit of common background on Romania because I'm an ethnical Hungarian, and I defected about, let's say, 12, 13 years ago. And after these changes in Romania, how do you see the life of ethnical Hungarians and Germans in Transylvania?
I hope we'll witness very important changes in the politics of the Romanian new government towards the Hungarian ethnics, German ones, and all these ethnical groups. I mean, they have to do it because what Ceausescu did against the cultural, spiritual interest of the Hungarian community, German community, was unbelievable. I can say that I was ashamed at the time being in Romania and seeing what Ceausescu did against them. But I'm happy to say, to remember you and others, I was the only one Romanian who co-signed with Geza Search and Karoi Kirai, a former member of the Central Committee Party, a letter addressed to United Nations asking this international body to build up, to form a commission which has to monitorize how the Romanian government is respecting or not respecting the rights of minorities. I was in very good relationship with the Hungarians and Germans, and I hope I can help them in the next future.
Go up to Montgomery, Pennsylvania. You're next.
Yes, sir. I was wondering your personal opinion of radio personality Howard Stern.
I'm not sure that's a really relevant question. You want to know about if you knew Howard Stern. I think that's, I think we'll pass over that one.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about, do you still have family back in Romania?
Yes, my wife and I, we do have some relatives in Romania. First of all, we have our mothers. When we were released and sent to the United States, they were kept as kind of hostages. It was very clear from the very beginning. I have to say that the General Gheorghe Dănescu, the former Chancellor of Ceausescu for the problem of security matters, told me, giving me the passports, listen, Comrade Tudoran, we have to be clear. Your mother and your mother-in-law will be never allowed to see you again. I say, okay, but I hope you are wrong. And maybe he was wrong.
Do you have plans to go back?
Jim, it's a very tough question. As a matter of fact, I am responsible also for somebody else's future, my daughter. She was only 8 when she was arrested with me on the streets in Bucharest. He spent a day in a Romanian prison at 8 years. She tried very hard to accommodate, to become familiar, to become an American human being here. He passed through terrible times, very hard times. My question for myself, am I allowed to pick up my daughter and go back into Romania? The second question is, till now, nobody from the new leadership expressed the intention to have me back. Not just me, but a lot of Romanian people in exile. So if somebody will think one day that they need Dorin Tudoran in Romania, I'll think over and over. And it's very tough to give you the answer right now.
Too early to tell, I guess. Let's go take one more call. Go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You're next.
Hello, Mr. Tudoran. I'm a Romanian refugee like yourself.
Caller, excuse me, but can you, caller, let me just jump in here. Can you turn your television set down? We're getting a lot of feedback.
How do you feel about the Romanian diplomatic corps switching from Ceausescu's side to the new government side? And I'd like you to explain exactly how you feel, because it looks like we feel the same. I'm as well concerned about the new Romanian government, and maybe you could explain a lot to the American people. And the second question would be, how can we as refugee Romanians help the actual revolution in Romania to achieve its goals?
All right. Thank you very much, Colin.
I would say that I wasn't surprised at all to see Romanian diplomats who used to be very arrogant toward Romanian exile switching very fast and saying we are right now on the right side. As a matter of fact, my friend, they didn't have any choice. They had to do it, just to save themselves. Secondly, what we can do here in exile to help the revolution in Romania. First of all, we have to behave ourselves very decently, very mature, wisely. I think it's not a good idea to attack a Romanian embassy here and try to kill people inside. We have to prove that we are not some kind of crazy guys. Secondly, we have to promote all the democratic real values and to help people to relearn democratic values in Romania. Just do not see this extraordinary revolution being hijacking stalled by the new leadership. I mean, the big danger right now in Romania is to see a new leadership trying to hijack the revolution that the people paid by so highly.
Duran Tutoran, thank you very much for being with us.
My
Appreciate
pleasure,
it.
Jim.
Thank you for your calls, and have a pleasant New Year. Good night.
If you would like to contact our guest with a further question or comment, you can write to him at 580 College Parkway, number 303, Rockville, Maryland, 20850. Up next, a discussion on the role of Washington think tanks. That's following a short break, which includes some schedule information.